Welcome to this week's episode of Squad Iko Sawa. My name is Shani.
My name is Mohanji.
And today we are talking about the pressure of being perfect.
Wow.
How does that look like? Sometimes do you feel like you have to show up a certain way on social media or in church or as a Christian? How exactly are we supposed to show up in? What pressure is associated with just being in our faith?
Yeah.
So make sure that you stay with us. Now, I want to implore you, if you have not, kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel. There is 74% of you from our analytics that watch the videos but are not subscribed to the channel. Please subscribe to the channel.
Yeah.
This helps us know that the content that we are making for you is super important. We also have a till number right at the description where you can support us, and if you believe in this ministry, type amen if you agree. So for now, let's get into the show and see you on the other side. Hi.
Hello. Another week.
Another week, another episode.
Come on.
Let me tell you something I'm learning about podcasting or content creation is there is a constant need to keep creating. I think music is like more, it's not that it's more relaxed, but it's more, there's more back end than, like before I release, I've really worked on something and then I release it.
Yeah. And then at least you can have some downtime and then come back to it.
How's podcasting been for you?
It's a lot. A lot of shoot days.
Yeah.
I think, I thank God though that we get to, at least both of us are creatives. So there are certain things that are not too tasky. There's a word like that.
Tasking.
Yeah, it's not too tasking. Yeah.
There we go.
Tasking. Yeah, but
say task and tax.
task, tax.
Say it 5 times in a rush. Go.
task. Oh, yeah.
Lost him at the first half.
That's where my English ends.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's really teaching me a lot of do it consistently.
Yes.
Do it. I think it's different. I think even for the metrics, because the fact that we're also musicians, the metrics of it is also different.
Yeah.
So it's not like you'll go somewhere and perform. We are performing podcast episode 3. No, like it's like let
one
people
and done.
digest it,
Yes,
the information.
yes.
So it's a really new field, I would say. New lesson.
For sure.
Yeah.
How's your week been?
It's been exciting, I would say.
Explain it in African ululations. Woo.
I think end month.
Shmoney.
Yeah, end month. Yeah, I love it for that.
Yeah.
But also I think the week has started really well. Very chill, very
nothing
relaxed.
too crazy.
Nothing too crazy. I know that a new episode from a South African production house is coming out. It's fire. That's all I'm gonna say. It's fire. If you watch Netflix, I think it's gonna be among the top ones.
I, friends, also do not know what he's talking about. But if you do, comment section.
Yes. It's a new series. It's really dope.
Okay. Me, my week is good, or has been good. Can't complain. Me, by the way, right now I'm just in like the doing of things. So there's not really much to speak about in terms of things. Maybe I can just say that I'm just learning a lot about consistency and showing up, and again, like not being perfect, which is what we're talking about today, and just showing up authentically as you. And I think even just to segue into the conversation, like I think if there's anything that has taught us the power of authenticity in this digital age is the world of TikTok. Especially in Kenya, like a lot of... They're called vienyeji TikToks, but I really don't think that it's the right terminology. I just think it's authentic content that, someone just decides to prop up their phone and shoot. However they're looking, however they're feeling, they just shoot up. Nothing about aesthetics. And those are the videos that go super viral. And us who maybe try to make sure that the shot, there's a medium shot, a close-up shot, an establishing shot.
Well,
there are some that get traction, but for the majority part, a lot of like the Kenyeji videos are the ones that get traction. Why do you think so?
I think humanity in itself, it's very simple.
Humanity.
I think just people in general are very simple. And yes, we might be amused by the production of something and be all good.
Yeah.
But when something is very relatable, it's just
People
it's here,
gravitate
it's
towards
now,
it. You're
and
right.
people just like it for
Yeah.
what it is. And I think over time, even that's why like most of our memes are usually like low quality, because it's like it was a random
It
thing.
was random. It happened.
know?
Yes, they
So
were
I
not
think-
trying to look for the moment.
Yeah, the relatability of it is actually the actual moment.
Yeah.
But which, if you have gone to school for production and all this, you can also create moments. So
Yeah.
that's the podcast.
Oh, I don't know if you have felt the pressure to be perfect on social media. Have you ever felt it?
Not really. However,
I feel like for
I
you
would
not
say-
really, but music.
That's why I say
Yeah.
like not really.
I'm like for you, yeah.
But
yeah.
when it
Music,
comes to
there's
the
a way you are,
music,
yes.
there's a way, I would say there's a pressure to be
What does
perfect.
that pressure look like for you?
I think it's your previous project or thing that you did
Must be.
better than what you did before it. So it's always like a race of, oh, this is what people are doing. I have to do it a notch higher.
Need to be innovative.
I need to be more innovative. When people start doing it, it's like, it's saturated. I need to do something
much.
different. Let's
One
move
of
to that.
one.
Yeah, so I think for me,
Yeah.
and I think most of it is that pressure I was saying, I think in our previous episode, where it's like, I want to innovate and be creative and pushing that card, sometimes you have nothing.
Yeah.
Like you're just like,
You have nothing else to do. You're like, I'm
Yeah.
done.
By the way,
this is all I have.
creative block hit. So you're like, well,
Not to
nothing
say a
more to
bad
show.
joke, yeah.
Nothing more to show. Keep on moving. So like sometimes it feels like that, but I
Yeah.
think that's where for me, where the pressure to
Look
be
perfect.
to look
has-
perfect as an artist and to show these moments you're doing these
Yeah.
amazing things. It was
Yeah.
a show, it was filled up. But sometimes it's like,
Like you want the shot where you can see the,
the
crowd. I get you.
You can see people happy.
Yeah.
And when you're shooting, let's say like when someone is shooting for you content, like make sure this part where people were shouting, that's what
That's the part we cut and put.
so that you may look nice, so that your brand may be very appealing.
Yeah.
I think in terms of pressure, I think that's the side where I would say I gravitate most.
Yeah.
What
I think
about
maybe
you?
for me, I think especially with now this side of content creation that I'm trying to build up,
Yeah.
the pressure is definitely there to look perfect. So whether it's the way you look, like your appearance, especially for us ladies,
Yeah.
like not showing yourself without makeup when you're online and what. But I really think that TikTok it's pretty chill. Like I like that now there's a balance of maybe Instagram I can show up in this way
Yeah.
and not so much where I'm putting pressure on myself to be perfect.
Yeah.
But on TikTok there's also a balance of I can just come the way I am.
Just
and,
show up.
Yeah, and they'll accept me. If
Yeah.
anything, they'll be like, yeah. So,
That's real.
yeah, so I think for me, I've definitely felt the pressure with music. I think, again, for women, I think appearance is a really big thing.
Yeah.
So maybe it's like there's a way you're expected to show up and you're like, logistically, financially, that doesn't
Does
make
not
sense,
make sense.
you know. So, but that I really mean just in terms of like, for a music video, the expectation is 5 to 6 outfits, different hair, different dates. It's like, bruh, no, that's not possible. But the pressure is definitely there. Is there any like pressure you feel from music? For you, it's just breathing on by.
I think the biggest thing about music is sort of like how people are very much hanging on how people should view you. So it's sort of like you're creating a persona. And I think that's why, like, even when there are other musicians who you'd hear people say, they call their personas certain names.
Yeah.
So I think this persona that sometimes people create can give you pressure. I think for me, musically, I would say sometimes I do have pressure. And it's not even pressure from myself or pressure even from the audience. Because I don't think, partly...
Where do you think the pressure comes from? The enemy?
Well, the ops are always there.
Yeah.
But I think it comes from just the industry itself, like how
For sure, for
how
sure.
you show up as a person. So
Have
you
to
are
have a new
expected,
seat for every
you know,
performance.
and sometimes the sad bit about that is that sometimes the pay doesn't match the brand. So sometimes you can be actually online, like you have really invested on how you look, you have invested on how you show up, and how, like, the whole aesthetic of the person
Yes.
is almost perfect. But then when you actually call for gigs, they don't pay you like you look. So it's, I think, I would say in that way, I've found it really hard. And I think sometimes it can really mess up with consistency, because
Yeah.
you want to show up a certain way, but you're like, the cost implication of that is
Yeah.
really high
Have you ever felt pressure as a Christian
all the time.
of being perfect?
All the time.
It's one brother. Forgive me.
Thank you, Sister Grace. So, I feel like Christians are not allowed to make mistakes. And very specifically, if you just look at, and this, it could go to people who are not Christians and also the Christian community itself. We are our own ops.
Our own and our babies.
Because sometimes people, and I think also it goes to people glorifying certain things. Like once you are an important figure in the Christian community, like I don't think people extend grace as much as a younger Christian or someone who's unknown.
Yeah.
And sometimes even if you are a Christian and you've been a Christian for a while and you are unknown, you could be doing the same messes and no one is critiquing you, no one
But
says
because this
anything
person
about
is on
you.
a public pedestal.
You know, so people, it becomes very, almost like, by the way, you guys, do you really know how grace works? Because I feel like social media has made it possible for people to not extend grace.
Why is
And
it church?
and then you
The
just,
place where there should be
you know,
loads of
and I actually think the church is the place where they are the most messed up people, because they want to
rightfully
change.
so, because
You know, they want to change, they want to come out of certain things. And it's an open field of many things that could possibly go wrong.
yeah.
And when they do go wrong, there is little to no grace to the people who have done wrong. So sometimes it's like, oh, you're doing this, you're telling people this, all these people of church are not real, they are fake, they are not authentic, I've been there, I know them, we were this, so it feels like it's a mistake. Like, people make mistakes. And this is not to say that when people make mistakes, you just coddle them. No. You can definitely, when you have community, in the community, go tell your people, hey, stuff is happening and I don't know what to do and I don't know what to do. And then you can at least get guidance. However, if you're not in that space, it's really hard to go about that. But I feel like church is really, there's a lot of perfection that is required from you. Once you just say, I believe in Jesus, there's a weight.
I think even I'm going to base it on social media quite a bit, just because we're in the digital age.
Yes.
So, and even of late, there's been a lot of conversation over Christian content creators and like believers being more confident about sharing their faith online.
Yeah.
It feels like the moment you do so, because I like what you talked about, the Christian public images, there's a certain way, and again, I'm just going to speak for the women, especially for the women, there's a certain way you're expected to show up. And even in music, like there's a certain look you're supposed to have or go for. There are certain things you're supposed to speak about. There's a certain way you're supposed to speak, very soft-spoken, you know, chill, just very feminine, very ladylike. And it's like there can be different versions of just femininity. But I really also want to talk about like the content creators, because I think for me, even I've just arrived. I'm just building and I'm starting, or I'm in the beginning stages, and I feel like there is a pressure in the back of my mind. And this is also based off of, I think there was a conversation I had with somebody we were working with on something, and they were telling me that there were people that they followed because they thought they were Christian, but because this person started posting, like maybe they'd post they'd go to church on Sunday, but the music they would use is not gospel, so that means they're not a Christian. Or like maybe they're doing just extracurricular activities, maybe you've gone for a bash and there's secular music playing and you're dancing, so now you're not a Christian. So there is that pressure to be perfect. Like even for me, like whenever I post content, I'm like, do I put, like, what music do I put? How do I? Because now also it can't be I'm always posting either worship music. I can't always just be posting my music. So how do you? I think I've just faced that pressure of like how to
navigate it,
create that balance. Also increase my like listenership. To just be as educated as informed. Maybe if I want like a another type of beat, I'll go to this Christian alternative, or if I want this. And I actually think that thing for alternatives is not the best
not helping.
As well.
It's not helping.
It's not helping. In fact, remember?
I know what you're about to say.
There was this friend
oh my goodness.
We were starting ride going home. And they were pitching to us like this. Was it one artist? It was like.
It was one artist.
It was this one artist. What they pick a famous song. Now, for my Christians, you might not know this song, but it's a song by some secular artist who does not follow the Lord. called Chris Brown. And he has this song called Residuals. And so essentially what this person does is that they use the same beat, the literal same instrumentation, they use the same flow, they use the same rhymes, they use the same melodies, but they just change the lyrics to Christian lyrics. But even the way they change the lyrics, if you're not keen to listen, you just be like, that's not Chris Brown singing, but I know that song. That was the only difference. And they were like, yeah, this is a Christian alternative. And we were like, no.
That's not how it works.
Because the moment I listen to that song, my mind is taken
to the original
song. Artist. So I think for me, I faced that pressure of, as a content creator, like I have to, it's almost like I have to post Christian gospel music. I cannot be caught there dancing to challenges on TikToks of, get famous. I remember even there was some hit that Anatolia caught, and I don't like talking about other people because I don't know, but there was hit she caught because she was dancing to one of the famous songs, and a lot of people in the comments were like, oh, it's because she's young, my sister, you'll just grow in the Lord.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, no, this is not right. I think there is even in regards to music, I will say, I think that there is a major difference. The songs are secular, but they do not lead me to sin. For example, if I want to express love to my husband, I'm not, well, I could, but I'm not going to send him like a William McDowell song for sure. I'll send him a love song just for context, and it doesn't necessarily glorify or give praise to God, but it does express human emotion. And I think that there is that music that speaks about just the humanness of life that you can sing or relate to, because guess what, you're human. So I think there is a space for such kind of music, and it also calls for navigating with wisdom, especially to people who have either public platforms, number one. Number two, everyone needs to be accorded grace because everyone is on a different journey. I might be a beginner Christian, or I've just gotten saved, but I am a public figure. So you're not gonna see, because I got saved yesterday, now I will never put secular music in my IG. I'm still figuring out what exactly does that mean to me.
True.
And the more that you look at someone else and judge them, you need to take a harder look at yourself and see what is
the log in your
that is
eye
causing you to critique somebody to that level of degree where you're either degrading them, you're talking badly about them, you are confident enough to enter their DMs. Stop it.
Don't do it.
What are some of the ways that you think we have gotten pressure from? Like, where do you think this pressure comes from? Fun fact. Oh my gosh, I don't even know why we didn't start with this. Somebody on this podcast has a song called Pressure. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Got you. Uliniambia easy for me. There it is.
Pressure. Streaming now on Spotify, Apple Music, and all streaming platforms. Go catch that. Like you really
said so many.
You really knocked the nail on the head really well with that bit about how pressure and social media and standards, even music. I think there's a lot to be said about how we interact with the world, and there are things that necessarily are not deemed with so much pressure. But if you really think about it, people don't view it like that.
Yeah.
Let's say like if today you are a doctor, no one comes and says you work in a secular hospital. No one will come approach you about that. But as a musician, there are fields where you just go. It's very secular, but there are gospel people there. And to people who might not understand context, they may just lock you out of everything. It's just like, so now, since I'm a musician, I get to interact with a lot of musicians. Even us.
In fact, you're locking me out na pia huko kwa hiyo event.
Hey, you know,
let's be for real.
like half of our friends are musicians.
Yes.
Some of them are secular, some of them, yes, are gospel. And sometimes it's not even about the gig. It's about the meaning of why you are there. Sometimes it's just an event and secular music is playing. So now I'm walking around with headphones.
Someone who's listening and just judging us right
Oh, for sure. Just like, these people, I thought they were staunch
Carnal.
Christians. Carnal-minded. To be carnally minded is dead. We know that scripture, Brother Anderson. But I digress. I think it's really important.
What would be the short form?
And
Moving on.
what was the question? I guess.
Where do you feel this pressure comes from?
I think it just
You've
comes
already
from
said social media and church.
Yeah. But I think it's mainly from ourselves trying to equate what we want to see on other people. Cause it's like that thing of I love I don't know. I like the way Beyonce looks and how she presents herself.
Let's go with somebody. You're really going for women this season.
I am not even like. I love Kendrick. I love how he does his pieces. I love how he presents his work, his art. And then there is Muhanji. So now every time from Kakamega Western. And you're like, every time I look at Muhanji, I'm like, nah, these Kenyan artists are not even dope. And you're like, so you're pressuring people who are in two different industries, people who, even income-wise, very different, popularity-wise, very different. The crowds they gather, very different. He won't be as big as he was, as he is. Whoa. The boogies, the boogies do not come for me. That was a slip of the tongue. but you know, like it's there's a level of how you want to see things, and I think sometimes pressure comes when you start attaching people to what you expect. Sometimes, sometimes it could be of yourself. It could be of something you've seen. It could be of maybe your standard. Because I think people will say like, my standard is here. I can't do here. And it's like, yes, but the reality of things is here is the standard. Here is the general. Because sometimes there's that thing of, generally people can agree on certain things. But then there are people who are anomalies, who they have their standards way high. So they wouldn't want to interact with these other things. And I think now the pressure comes when you as an individual also want to match up to a standard you can't achieve. It's good to be inspired and want to attain certain levels, but
it is a balance
how is my reality?
How to steal as an artist.
Exactly.
Perfect, yeah.
How to steal as an artist, like where am I at and where can I reach with what I have? Because I think sometimes also that in the creative economy, it cripples so many people such that you can't do anything because you're like, when I do it, I want it to look like this. But in reality, in the real sense of things, you're like, this is what I can do. This is what I can reach. So do that and do it at the best that you can. I think that's where most of the pressure comes in. Or even comparison, I'd say.
Yes, I was just about to say that. Like even when you were speaking, I was hearing comparison. So yeah, comparison.
I think there's a lot of comparison. Even that goes for content creation. That goes for DJs, dancers. So you want to do something that you saw someone else do and do it exactly like them.
Yeah.
And nothing less or nothing. Like you want to do it like them.
Can be like, because you see somebody thriving, it draws an insecurity within yourself to be like, I'm not as good as, so I'm not good at all.
That one. I think also that one of just trying to compare personalities can sometimes really kill the joy of you doing the thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
So I think there is, and there's a bigger call for balance, because the truth is you can't be someone else. That's why you're you. So just be you and enjoy it there.
Of being themselves, maybe, and maybe this is the 844 system, or every time you are out of place, you are being called out. You're either too much, too loud, too what, you speak a lot. You, instead of these things of notice that this particular child maybe speaks a bit more than the other kids. So maybe it's something within them that will benefit them in the future. But instead of encouraging,
you shut it down.
It's a shutdown of everything. So it's very hard for us to be authentic, because for all our lives we've been told no. For you to be acceptable, for you to be a member of society, this is how you must act. This is how you must be. Yeah. And
truly, I think that's among the reasons why so many things have maybe even stalled in our country, I would say, because it's like that bit of because it's that thing of like when people are authentically themselves, like it's so easy that you can even see other people accept them. It's like our human nature can identify on the authenticity.
Like you see, even that what you just said, like when somebody sees an authentic person rise up, people gravitate towards them. The other thing that happens is
when
the flip side is when they
I want to hear that. On the flip side?
On the flip side, what happens is, because you've seen this person being successful, now
you want.
Yeah, you're doing exactly what they're doing. Yeah, it's like the way yesterday I was with my Uber driver and where are we going? I can't remember. And he was saying, na kuona tu kunatuma chemist kila kutoka hii block mpaka kwa mwisho. Pharmacy chemist. And then I was telling him, like, maybe Mojo alipata, the first one who bought a car, and then I was like,
chemist iko na biashara.
Chemist iko na pesa.
I think Kenyans, we are chronic copiers. And I think that's the reason why maybe we can't stretch our imagination beyond. You know, we can't strengthen and enlarge our tents, and because I think it's that thing of you can't be someone else. And I think that should be like a belief system that you are told when you're young, like you can't be someone else, just be yourself. And I think it's really hard.
Homeschooling.
That homeschooling. But I think people actually there's a difference, I think, even with different educational systems, because there's a way others are made to feel like we should be together, we should do things the same way, we should, because that's what is working. And I think just because something is working, I remember and just because you fit in a place, it doesn't mean that's where you belong. It's that thing of like, you know how this placeholders for biros, like you could put any biro and it could fit there, but that's not the exact biro meant for that place. So sometimes I feel like people find success in certain things, in certain pockets, and then they feel like now this is their identity, and they stay there, of which in the future, in the near future, you easily or faster you come to realize, that was not for me. And I think it's sad because we lose a lot of authenticity from that. And as you said, even as you're beginning, those TikTokers who are called kienyeji, and true to them, like people love them as they are. Like people don't come to their comments and saying, I think you need to start dressing better. I think people don't.
Well, there are some who do. It depends on the level of kienyeji TikTok you've entered. How do maybe they may not tell you like dress better, but they'll be like, where?
Your shirt. But for them, since they are being themselves, like comments like that I don't know, but we would have to ask a kienyeji. So kienyeji person, what do you think? But I think that's very, it's accepted that once you start being yourself, like it's like people just notice it and it's like, wow, like how are you able to do this? And I think now that's the amusement of authenticity.
How do you think this pressure affects us? The pressure of being perfect. I think it gives us burnout. Because for example, like I'm trying to think of like content. Maybe you've seen a video, like a makeup video. and you want to replicate it. So instead of being inspired by it and creating your own authentic content, you want to replicate it. So what happens is you find yourself shooting like 6 times, but because it's not as good as what you saw, you create it,
Again.
you dismiss it, you create it, you dismiss it, and by the time you're on the 6th round, you're like, actually, this
Can't
doesn't.
do it.
This is not even worth my time. Let me just give up, and that's how you've given up on that one piece of content that you don't know, like my imagery of the man digging the ground
The
until he
diamonds.
finds the well for the diamonds. Yeah, maybe that should have been the video that made you go viral, but
Yeah. Hey, I think. Hey.
I think
I
would just say, like, also maybe dissatisfaction of your soul. Like, there's something you always say about Prophet. What did you tell me J. Cole's name is?
Jermaine.
Prophet Jermaine. Prophet Jermaine's
Jermaine Cole.
Yeah, he said something along the lines of like, it would be so sad if you are climbing up a ladder, and then by the time you get to the top, you realize you're on the wrong.
On the wrong path.
You're like on the
It's
wrong
good.
path.
It's good you came a long way, but it's sad you came the wrong way.
Woo!
Hey, the Murima will fall.
So yeah, like I think one of the other things that the reason I'm saying dissatisfaction is, even one of my prayers that we always talk about is like, we never want to be in a position where we've made it, we're successful, or let's even in regards to music, we've chosen to do, let's say, mainstream music or music that is easily palatable. And it's not that our music isn't, but you know, there's a way you can curate, like you can study, see, this is the music that works. Let me make something like this that is completely different from the thing that I know God has called me to do. And imagine now you actually do it and the song goes viral. Now you have to perform that song 10,000 times.
And you didn't even like it. Tragic.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't. I think maybe rephrase your question again.
Like, what does this pressure, how does it affect us?
I think it really affects us a lot. I think it...
What?
It affects our mental health. Because then you find someone, you're struggling to be someone else, and you're not comfortable, but you keep trying and trying and trying. So it's like you're seeking this perfection, because in your mind it's like, if I just do it as they did it, then maybe I'll succeed. You know, and sometimes, and maybe you've done it and done it and done it countless times, and it's still not getting to where you think it should be. So mentally you're exhausted, financially, even physically, just doing it over and over again. And then now you get to a place where you find someone is depressed, someone is sad with life, they have no zeal in them to keep doing.
They even doubt themselves, like, because of that, they're even, anything they create is full of doubt. They're not sure if it will perform because you don't even know who you are anymore.
True. Doubt definitely, because now that identity seeps into, now you're trying to be someone else, but your true self is like, I don't think this is for me. And I think people now are fighting your identity plus this thing you're trying to play, because now you're playing a caricature of a person that you saw. This is how success is attained, and this is what I want, so let's do it and see where it goes. And I think some people, or even their success stories, can be one of one. Like, there are people who I don't think they will ever be replicated, just because of their level of greatness or how they did their thing. And maybe it's just for them, like, this is just for you, this is how your story will be told. And I think another way that it affects us,
or makes us, like, that pressure of being perfect, like, how does it make us feel? I
think it gives us a lot of, it's sort of like unfulfillment. Because for people who are really in their bag, like, they know this is what I'm meant to do, like, they have a joy and a zeal of life, like, there's an excitement of life. So I think without that, you always, it's like you're chasing the wind, like you're chasing something that you will never get, because that's not who you are. And I think it gives us like a fight or flight to the things we like. So you fight with this, like, you know, wewe unapendanga to Converse, but since you see everyone is wearing Samba, you're just like,
whoa.
I want this is the in thing. I have to. You'll even go to ends you would never. so that you just get it, so that you may fit in with everyone else. And I think my heart really goes out to people who are not called to the conventional careers and things.
You mean us?
Yeah, like it really does. Yeah, like for creatives and even people who maybe necessarily they did careers where their parents said you should do this because our whole family has done this, and you really you are like a big lawyer in this country, but you really didn't want to do law, but your parent told you, you did it, you got a high paying job, but you're just miserable because you're feeling like I'm not supposed to be here. Maybe I wanted to be a mechanic in a garage, I wanted to do civil engineering, but then you can't chase that dream. You're looking at your age, you're like, you're now in your 40s and you're like, wow, should I leave this career that I am really high in the ladder? How will that affect my parents who are now older? I need to take care of them. So it leaves you question, like you said, like you just question who you are in general, because you're like, I really don't love this, but I have to do it. So I think it has like a lot of ripple effects, because it's like one thing, but it strings along so many things. But also that's like a big, huge fight on identity.
Yeah. I think even I wanted to add, like, I think even the pressure of being perfect makes us like avoid vulnerability with ourselves or with our community, and that brings about like shallow relationships. So it's like the people you have friends, but they don't really know you. It can even be shallow faith, because you're not even you're trusting in God, but you're like even what you're trusting in Him for, you're like, even me, I don't know if I want it. That's what they say.
It should work.
Yeah, should work or anything. And I think maybe that's even the difference between pressure and faith, where it's like with pressure, it's personal, like it's you putting it on yourself or it being from other people, and so the drive is different. But when it's faith, the pressure is different in terms of the pressure is me sticking to what God has said against what the world has said. But when it's just pressure from myself and others, there's all these other things that come with it, that it's like
and pressure from people has a lot of voices. My. I think also, like, since we are like even putting it more on the social media bit, like social media has so many people, so there are so many voices. Like if you I remember there was a time
you can have 15 comments, but if one of them is negative,
hata ajuangi kuchanua nywele, uni mwanaume aina gani, uko tu like, man, I shouldn't have turned. Now they, oh no, I had sijui a bag at the background, now they've seen, like it could be a small thing, but then it ruins your whole day because of something someone said.
Do you think the pressure of being perfect brings about perfectionism? Yes.
Yeah, I think it brings it, but it brings it in a very critical way. So it's not I think even perfectionism in itself, it's sort of like an unattainable thing, because you live in a very chaotic world. So
and
being
it's an illusion. Like what does
perfection even is?
What is, like, can we define it? Is there an absolute definition of what it is? Because if there was, then definitely we would say that people who have gotten it, even the greats, even the people who we think are great, whenever, like, we've seen, like, let's say, like we're talking about music, these Super Bowl performances, people are so quick to talk about how this person stumbled, or they almost failed, or they almost, which means that perfectionism is not possible, because these people are performing at their level best. But the truth of life is, and humanity, which I think reminds us of our weakness, and reminds us of our need to depend on God, is that even though I am the best of the best, even though the world considers me the greatest of all time, the what of the one of one, like when it comes to, if you actually look at your life, like you know the mistakes, even if, let's say, in a performance, the crowd wouldn't know when you fumbled, but you know. So there is that meaning of, like, perfectionism, not possible. And even if you do all your lines correct and you kill it, you'll just go back and you're like, I should have turned my head just slightly. For that shot. It's an illusion.
It's an illusion, but and I think that's the reason why now perfectionism is like a thing like shouldn't be attained. I think of perfectionism as a concept, not as an actual thing. It's like just having excellence. Like that's what perfection is. Like just have excellence, because you necessarily can't be perfect.
There's a space for when you've said excellence, I'm thinking God calls us to excellence.
Yeah.
But what is excellence in God's standards? Is it us performing at our level best, or is it us doing our best and allowing God to cover any other part where we have? Because there's a Bible verse that talks about like in your weakness, like I
I'll
am
be a
the strength
strength.
in your weakness.
I think God's standard of perfection is really interesting that you phrase it like that, because even in scripture,
No. It's how it's phrased in the Bible.
because even in scripture, they like Daniel was a great person that even scripture refers him as a spirit of excellence. Like that's what type of excellence is that?
It's only him.
And it's imagine in the whole of scripture, this one person, God has a spirit of excellence. And I think with Bible sort of explains itself. So you have to go to the scripture and ask, how did Daniel live? And I think
what defined him as a man
of excellence. Yeah. So you go to his life, you find he was a man of prayer. You find that he spent time praying every single day.
Thrice.
You know, like this is someone
at the
who
balcony facing the people. Guys, we got here.
wewe hata kwa sitting room unaomba hapo. You know, so it's like his posture, and I think his posture was always that it's God. And something that was very consistent in that book, venye the king had a dream and was like, oh, someone come interpret. He was like, give me a day. How sure are you to that level that God will speak to you in a day or your head is gone? You know, like he was so sure that, but then God will speak to me in a day. I will come and I will interpret the dream in a minute. So what it means, you know, like it's such a confidence in God that not so many people have. I don't even think I'm there yet in that space. And him having such confidence, because he's like, I spend time with this guy. I know how he speaks, and I know he'll speak to me. When time happens, when now he's thrown in the den, he's like, he's very chill. He's like, kuna kitu yenye leo nitanifanyia. Because he's confident about God. It's not even about him. You know me, I pray. Because I don't want to say that this level of excellence that God requires is you have to pray, you have to do this, because it's not like a bunch of things that you go and tick. I think go sit with God and tell God, hey, may I want to have this type of relationship with you. This spirit of excellence, let me have it. When you read, when the book of Daniel starts and we are introduced to Meshach, Shadrach, Abednego, and Daniel, like how they carried themselves, you can see the spirit of excellence. How their posture was so right. So I think it should be a conversation between you and God. Because I think our purposes and the reason we are on earth is deeply tied to the spirit of excellence. Like you have to be excellent at that thing that you are called for. It's not at the generally, so all of us, this is our blank slate of excellence. This is what we do. No, I don't think that should be it.
I really like that you've talked about Daniel, because even in a part of excellence is doing it as unto God and not as unto men. And I think even Paul talks about it in scripture, where even if, again, I'm also thinking that Jesus also talked about it when he was saying, like, even when you fast, don't do it so that people, because if you do that, that's your reward. Then people say, wow, that's it.
You are fasting.
That's, in fact, God does not even listen to you. You're jibu yako. That's your answer. So I think that even as you said about Daniel and excellence, it's really made me think about, like, even as he was doing it, part of the reason why he had the spirit of excellence was because he was doing it as unto God.
Yes.
That his approval was not based on what people say, and though it does matter, I'm not dismissing that.
It really does.
Now with digital, especially even with content, it's like it matters.
See the podcast. Share the podcast.
Yes, it matters. So there is that balance of, yes, there is what there's approval that I would like from man, but ultimately what matters more is approval by God. And I think we were talking about it in an episode before, where it was like, even in regards, for example, to this podcast,
Yeah.
it would be a very easy route for us to pick purely conversation about relationships, dating, all
Yes.
of that. But because we know that one of the purposes of this podcast is to have just faith-based conversations,
Yeah.
build a community of people who are in faith and believe in God, and
Yeah.
just want to figure out how to be a Christian in this generation,
Yeah.
it affects the steps that we take. And I
Very
think
true.
even though we're not seeing, maybe like for me personally, the things that I would like to see in terms of numbers, engagement, all of it, I'm staying faithful because I know the approval
The call
that I
behind
would
it.
prefer, even though my flesh is saying no, is the approval of God. Like I know in the end I'd be like, I'm glad I picked this
Yeah.
side than this other side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything
Wow.
to add?
Hey.
To say?
Nah. Gave that out very
Now,
well.
because there is a man on this podcast who talks about pressure, I would really want to know how how do you get over pressure, or how do you deal with it, or how do you overcome it?
Having being the writer of the song Pressure, and
In fact, this song will edit it now, pressure. Actually, yeah.
the episode of Pressure. I think one
Of
way,
being perfect. Let's not forget it.
the pressure of perfection. I think pressure is required. Pressure is required in every sense of the way.
Amen.
Like I feel
Even diamonds require pressure.
motivational
It's big.
part 2. I think
Diamonds.
pressure. I think it's important to navigate pressure. I'm trying to think of it in a broader sense of it.
Can
that
I add as you think? Because we talked about this in episode 3 about ambition, I think because of that, we're not just talking about pressure as a whole, we're talking about the pressure of feeling like you have to be perfect.
Yeah.
I think a thing would help is defining what success looks like to you.
Yes.
Because that helps you keep your, focus back your eyes on the thing that you are going for, the thing that matters. So redefining, because I say redefining because maybe the case is that before this point, you are trying to keep up with everyone, everything, even yourself and your own personal expectations. But once you redefine success now, you are introspecting, as we have learned in the season on that. Like you're introspecting, seeing your weaknesses, your flaws, seeing what you can be able to do, choosing to not only be inspired, but to actually see how that inspiration can be custom made to your own situation, your own preferences, your own way of creating, and just figuring out, okay, this is what success looks like for me. How do I achieve this? How do I get to this? Because I think if we redefine success, then we're able to be authentic, and then we're able to be like, I've done my best. I'm even able to involve God and be like, this is what I have. A holy sacrifice. This is legit. Hii ndio iko. Chukua ufanye kenye utafanya nayo.
Wow, that's very well articulated and described. I think with the pressure of perfection, it comes with a lot of weight on the person. And I think now the pressure is self-inflicted because it's you wanting to.
Is it just to gun signs?
No gun signs, just peace. Like it's from you wanting to be something that you are not. That's why there's a pressure to deliver this thing that we don't know but you know. And sometimes how to deal with it can be one, identifying that by there this is not for me. Like I am trying to play either a caricature.
Or like realizing that I'm actually giving myself pressure.
Yeah, like actually identifying and being like, like you have to, because you look at it and you're like, I really am not built for something like this. And why am I forcing myself into this space? And sometimes there's that bit of, I think like God has some pockets of joy and greatness in things that are not common. And sometimes I feel like as human beings, we run away from that because you feel like you'll be called weird, you'll be called names because you're like, hey, this person, we don't understand them. And I feel like sometimes those are like the solutions that we have in life.
Yeah.
Maybe this thing that you're running away from is the very thing that can literally bring change or happiness or joy to people. So you don't want to do it because it feels like, I feel like this is a smaller thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like also the reason why people are pressured is because you have some bit of smallness in you, that you feel like this thing of mine is not significant in the meaning of life kabisa. But that mustard seed of thing that you have is an answer to something. There is a reason as to why you are talented in comedy the way you are.
Yeah.
There is a reason as to why when you show up as a sportsman, everyone is happy. There's a reason why you are gravitating towards tennis and not football. Like there's a reason to all these things.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes
Or
we
golf.
have, yeah, we have to,
Or cricket.
yeah, speak to that.
What was that episode you were watching about, like, this person who was super good at cricket?
Oh, it was in Showmax. Like people are talking about how they spent their budgets and blew it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very nerve-wracking episode because of hey, wacha tu. But I feel like you, because there's a lot that goes on in life, and I feel like sometimes there are things that God has given you that are supposed to give you joy, not anyone else. And I feel like the
Are
world.
you saying that people should stop monetizing their hobbies?
I feel like partly that's the reason why people are in pressure.
Yeah.
Because there's something that, and even when I say it gives you joy, it's like God knew the makeup of the person you are.
Yes.
Like you will need this somewhere. And this is probably the only way you will be able to deal with the world. This is the thing that will help you give other people joy and give yourself joy. So it should be your safe haven, this thing that you're created for. And I feel like we fight about so many things in life, and even as we're chasing perfection and all these things, but we need to accept, I think acceptance, just accept yourself. I think that's like even the first thing to do, like that identity, just like, well, they call me weird, lakini mimi niko tu hivi tu.
Yeah.
Napenda kuvaa tu viatu za black. Na hivyo tu ndo mimi niko. You know? Nakuanga hivyo tu.
I think maybe something I can add is to set like realistic goals. And by that I mean, sometimes we're comparing our year 1 journey with someone's year 5.
Ooh.
Or our year 10 journey with someone's year 25.
Speak on it.
So if you set goals based on someone's year 25,
Yeah.
and I say that especially maybe like in music, because there can be such a comparison. And I think as bad manners, especially for women, like anytime there's a new chick who comes into the game,
comparison starts.
Yeah, and comparison to the greats. Like how dare you compare someone who's just starting
to a great?
First of all, it's disrespectful to the person who has put in 30 plus years,
that craftsmanship,
10 plus years, because it takes hard work and craftsmanship, like you said. But also you're really, really dismissing the uniqueness and perspective of this new artist who's coming in with a new sound, because you're immediately clustering them with, either as a protege or as someone who's doing music like this person. And maybe this person is completely new. And I don't say to guys, please stop it for women. It's not nice. It's not nice. And I mean, also, who am I? A young girl speaking to a whole multinational, multi-billion-dollar industry of media, but it's really wrong. We should stop that. That's not good behavior.
Yeah.
But I was saying setting realistic goals in terms of, don't put your, like I said, like don't set your goals based on your year 1, based on and compare to someone who's on year 7.
Yeah.
Realistically, it's not going to work out, and you end up disappointed. So even as you find your own identity, even as you figure out what success means to you, even as you set these goals, set them realistically. Be like, this is what I have in my hand. I can only do 5 songs this year. I can only do 2 songs this year.
Yeah.
This is what I will do, and this is how I'll define my success. And then now involving God and being like, God, because this is what I can do, cover for me in terms of give me the, because you know when you talk about grace or resting in God's grace, grace doesn't necessarily mean kuhurumia mtu. It also means undeserved favor.
Yeah.
Which is God, these 2 songs that I've done, breathe life into them and make them move as though I created 15 songs. There's a Bible verse that talks, or a Bible story that talks about is it Gideon, I think? I really love Gideon, man. Like he was saying how God moved his numbers or his troops from, like, I can't remember what the initial number was, to 300 men.
3,000.
And the reason why he did that is because even he was telling Gideon, the reason I'm doing this is that so that you do not place your trust in the number of people or in yourself for your great leadership skills.
Yeah.
But it's with these 300 you will conquer these, I don't know if it was 10,000 or what, like these troops.
Yeah.
So that you can know that it is me. And the most interesting thing happened is that when God told them, gave them a very funny instruction, as is in his nature. It was like, just do what? And then make a shout.
And that's it.
God ukutupenda kupigana. The way he was not criticizing, but he was cutting down the numbers. He was like, the people who lap the water with their mouths directly, get out. Now. The people who are taking the water in their hands and then lapping it, those ones are the ones you keep. So it's like, God is just funny, but obey his instructions and you'll see the goodness of it. So when it was nighttime, he told the 300 people, like, jipangeni hivo, and then make a big shout. And the people who are in the camp, who were actually being called out, felt as though it was troops and troops and troops of people.
Yeah.
And I think that's a perfect picture of resting in God's grace. Yeah. So it's like, God, this little that I have, these 5 loaves and 2 fish,
yes,
I'm giving it to you to multiply. And that's where the partnership with God happens. It comes in and you're able to rest, because God, this thing is not for you. Yeah. It's not you to show how good you are. It's for God to use whatever you have to reach out to his people. So it can be 2 songs, it can be 15 songs. We're not saying that 15 songs. No. If anything, we need more music.
Yes.
But it is to say that we're not doing it from a place of, I'm doing it on my own. I'm doing it to show you how great of an artist I am. Look at how consistent I am with my music. But it is to say that God, you need to create that space for God, for him to step in and be able to work his way. You can be able to testify of his strength, so that if you do make it and you get to the global stage, if anybody asks you, how have you made it this far? This is not a bluffing situation.
Yeah.
Do you remember that meme, Drusky, when he was like, oh, money is in everything. Money is in everything. And then the guys just looked at each other and busted out laughing, because they knew it was PR. That when that question is asked to you, genuinely, legitimately, truthfully, you can say,
me God.
For real. Because you're like, me, my plan was not this.
Yeah.
But I'm here where I knew my desire was, and it is only God who has brought me through. And I think that's maybe one of the ways we can also just practice. Set realistic goals. Yeah.
Kill that. Love it. Love it.
Else to add?
No, that was perfectly said, perfectly narrated. Yeah. Love it.
Okay, if that is it, then we have come to the end of this episode. We're so happy that you have listened through up till this point. Yeah. Why don't you do us a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel? We're trying to get to our first 10K because we are doing it big. We're enlarging. We're not just doing 1,000 subscribers, we're doing 10,000. So if you are a lover of this content, this podcast, make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you like, you comment, tell us what do you think about this video. Other areas of perfectionism that you need to work on. Let us know, and we can pray with you. If you are listening to us on podcast streaming platforms, please follow us, give us a rating. This lets us know that this particular episode brought you joy and impacted your life. And you can even take it a step further. Imagine you can. Imagine you can. You can evangelize to your friends and your contacts by sharing this video to everybody who follows you, everybody who you are connected with. And this is how we actually grow community. I don't know, we're almost at the end of this season. We're maybe like a few episodes away. I don't know if we are going to be able to do a hangout or something. We'll see. It's definitely something that we're talking about. So if you would be interested, please let us know, so that we do not create this event and you guys do not come. Okay? Awesome. So until then, stay blessed, stay creative let's walk away from perfectionism and let's release the pressure and allow God to come in. And remember,
Squad Iko Sawa.